Too old or too young for real estate? I started at 48. Billy started at 15. We're going to unpack it this morning, guys. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Well. Too old, they told me. Too old. She's never going to
Yeah,
make it. Too young, Billy. He's never going to list a property. Let's tell the story. How old were you, Billy, when you started in real estate?
yeah, 15, 16. Um, as a Novak receptionist is where I started many, many years ago.
Unbelievable. You were still at school.
Yeah, that's right. And I do look at it now coming, all those years forward and see some of the new guys that start with us. And it's honestly one of my favorite things watching the new young guns start because I just find so much relatability there. But it's so funny watching them now start and thinking that's exactly how I used to look.
It's funny, isn't it? And the poor things, they come in, they're almost like little deers caught in headlights. There's another Billy. There's a younger version, Billy, of you. I actually
Yeah,
interviewed him the other day, and he's 15 or 16. He comes in 1 day a week. There's a special program with his school. And poor little thing, I said to him the other day, do you know how to make a coffee, Billy? We've got this fancy coffee machine. And he said, I don't know, but I'm going to try. And I thought, what a legend. There's no chance I can tell him if it's a good or bad one. Well, good one, definitely, but definitely not a bad one. But,
yeah,
what great learnings. And fast forward, now you've been in real estate for how long?
yeah. This will be 7 years in December. Yeah, it changed a lot. So yeah, it's
And look
great.
at you now. Look at
Yeah.
you now. So what would you say, Billy, to anyone that was starting out at 15 or 16? Because I reckon coming into a workplace at that young age is extremely daunting.
Yeah,
The one thing that I find school does really, really badly is they actually don't give great on the job training. I know there's that 1 week of work experience, but it's not enough. In
no,
year 10, when you go off and you do your work experience, and then it's
yeah,
like, okay, you're ready for the world now. And you're
yeah,
so not. I reckon that should be part of the school curriculum. 1 day a
yeah.
week, come and work in a workplace for the last 2 years of your schooling.
And I guess my perspective on that is, if you're not going to do a university degree and you're picking up a job in a more of a career job that you may think you want to do when you leave school. By the time you finish that and then finish the first 2 years out of school, it's kind of equivalent to doing like a TAFE for a uni degree in whatever you're interested in. So you've got to start somewhere. I think the young face was always my challenge and still sometimes is. Impossible to grow a beard. That's my limitation. And people make a joke of that. But you got to start
And
somewhere, and then by the time you finish, it's like coming out with a degree.
and how do you find with listings? Because how old are you now, Billy? Just let everyone know.
Yeah, so 23 now, be 24 in November. And the listings, I think 18 to 20 or, sort of, well, more maybe like 20 to 21, sort of in that sort of first couple of years whilst I was getting my feet. You're trying to establish a brand as well. So I don't think it's actually got anything to do with age, but you're trying to establish a trusted brand, and that's built on case studies. So the fewer case studies you can give, the fewer, I guess, stories you've got to back yourself and build your own confidence as well. But I guess after 7 years, you're looking at a specialist in a particular area, and it's like going to a doctor. Do you take the advice from someone who just looks competent because they're 50 years experience, or do you take the experience from someone who's like 7 years in the latest and greatest of science and property? That's the kind of way I look at it.
And you've got the hunger and you've got the energy. And that was one of the big things that I was worried about, which we're going to cover in a sec. When I came into real estate sales at 46,
Yeah,
everyone said, you're too old. You're too old to change career. You're too old to get started. But the great thing about being young, guys, for anyone who's just tuned in, we're talking about coming into real estate. Billy started at 15 and I started at 46. Are we too old? Are we too young? What are the benefits of that? The great thing is, and Billy, I've worked alongside you for those 7 years. I've seen it. I've seen it myself. I've witnessed it. You've got this energy and you've got this drive. I also feel like I know your mum, I remember meeting your mum so many years ago, and I remember her saying to me, Billy's like the Pied Piper. People just follow him. I was like, you know what? That is so, so true. You are a very likable person. And, it
Thank you.
doesn't matter what age you are. When you walk into a listing presentation, people see that. They go, I like this young guy. And listen, I reckon you're a force to be contended with in a listing presentation. We do listing prezos together a lot. That's where you go into someone's home, guys, and you
Yeah.
present. You know your stuff. And I don't care how old you are, when you've been doing something 7 days a week, like what you've been doing, Billy, for 7 years, work out the amount of hours of experience that are there. You
Yeah.
are, as I said, you're a force to be contended with. I'd be worried if I was an agent coming up against you.
Well, it's lucky we go in together, and I love it taking in, Lisa or Mark, because that's where we, actually build a really nice team. So let's talk about that. Too old for real estate. Lisa, can I say the only time I've ever thought you were too old was last night when you and Mark were having some tech troubles.
And I think we just forgot, we just clicked the wrong button. But yes, that's right. Me and technology don't go too well together. I think that's just my generation.
Yeah.
But I came into real estate sales on the other side of the coin at 46, unlike young little whippersnipper Billy at 15.
Yeah.
And it was something that I'd always wanted to do. I had to get it out of my system. I'd wanted to do real estate. In fact, I did a TAFE course. Many people won't know this. When I left school and I did not get a good HSC mark, and my parents said, well, go and do what everyone else does that doesn't get great marks in their HSC, and go to TAFE. So that's what I did. And I started to do real estate. I did it for about a year, and then got pulled into a different direction and actually moved off and became a travel agent, which was a great career when I was young because I
Yeah.
got to travel the world. And then later moved into our family business, which was in health and education. We ran a very large private college, which we sold about 20 years ago. And but I was working there in sales and marketing for 14 years. I worked there.
Wow.
And I met Mark obviously along the way, and I'd always wanted to get into real estate sales. And I was working in the background of our business for many, many years in marketing and then in more of a sort of managerial role, and got to 46 and thought, oh my God, I need to get this out of my system before I get too old. And the noise from the industry at the time was actually quite incredible, where people were saying, you're too old, you're never going to be able to. Cut through because so many people in your area own that area.
Yeah.
They've worked in the area for 20 years. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean I can't break into these areas? And all that did was just push me more and more and more. And I had set myself a goal that I wanted to become the number one agent in the area within 5 years, which everyone told me was impossible. And I ended up doing that within the first 2 years. So the great thing about being in your 40s, and I'm now in my 50s, but the great thing about being in your 40s is you wouldn't know this yet, Billy, but you will when you get there. And that
Thank you.
is that you've got this liberation that you never had before when you were younger. And that is that you actually just start caring a whole less about what other people think about you. And so I was just on this journey and I had this challenge. And I've never given up on that. So here I am 8 years later, and I've ticked so many of those boxes. But, the great thing coming in when you're a bit older is that you do have this confidence. You can deal with people. Um, it's just, I wouldn't change it for the world. I think anyone who's watching this who thinks they might be too old to get into real estate, Billy, how old are the Johns that work in our office?
Yeah, we've got, I think, the two most experienced Johns in DY. So we've got, I don't want to say the wrong number, but I reckon 70s. And
Yes,
like just
they're
a
in their
wealth of
70s.
not even real estate experience, just life experience. And I think as a consultant, you go to people looking for advice in these transactions, and often it's not just the buying and selling. It's not like you're checking out at a shop on the till. So you know, there's often other life sort of things thrown into that mix, and as a consultant, they're able to offer their perspective, and that's really valuable.
And the calmness that comes with being in the industry for as many years. We call them the two Johns that are in our office. You're right, they're in their mid to late 70s. You cannot question the experience of someone that has been in the industry for as long as they have. And as I said, the calmness that comes with that. You know, when people
Yeah,
talk about the market and all the turbulences that are going on at the moment, they're like, yeah,
yeah.
you know, they've seen so many different cycles of the real estate industry. But I don't know, would you change, Billy? Would you change it for the world, like coming into real estate at 15 when you started 7 years ago?
No, look, I think you'd agree as well. The first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it's still hard, But if you're gonna like the positive there for a young person, hopefully you can do that under the shelter of maybe mum and dad's place, or keep your costs down. Allows you to invest into your business. Allows you to just tip all in. And I think that's easier to do as a young person than someone in your 40s with kids and a mortgage. Because if you're not all in, it doesn't work. I think that's regardless of age.
Yes, there is. There is definitely career change, guys, post children. I've got two girls as well. I've got now a 28-year-old daughter and a 20-year-old daughter. So when you rewind back 7 or 8 years ago, they were obviously a lot younger then, but it was a constant juggle. I've always been incredibly good with my time and being able to be very disciplined with my time. But I think I had years and years of frustration because I had wanted to do it for so long. And that's why I was able to catapult as quickly as what I did. But I wouldn't change it for the world. Coming into it later was literally the best decision I've ever made. I don't wish I did it sooner either, because all those years of experience that got me to 46, starting off in real estate sales, enabled me to be able to catapult as quickly as what I did. It was all that life experience that got me there. There you go. You're not too old. You're not too young. Just do it, guys. Just do it before you regret it. That's what I would recommend. What a great segment.
There you go. Any doubt? Hopefully that's cleared it out.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Billy. See ya. Have a great day, everyone.
You too. See ya.
Bye.